Inside the school, Yuna and Dayun take a break from their classes, relaxing in a break room. They begin talking, mostly about Ijin. Yuna saying that she didn't know Dayun had a brother. She says that they thought he died alongside her parents 10 years ago, and 6 months ago, they found out he was alive. We cut to the moment they received the news, with the grandfather giving Dayun the news while crying his eyes out. Yuna finds it weird that he didn't contact them all this time, but apparently he lost his memories after the incident, with them only coming back recently. Clearly a lie done to hide Ijin's past. Yuna finds this curious, being quite suspicious of Ijin now. She still smiles and says that their grandpa must be happy, Dayun saying he even took cooking lessons to prepare for Ijin's coming. Yuna gets serious for a moment, asking Dayun if he really is her brother. She takes a step back, instead asking if they've done a DNA test. Dayun says that they must have done a DNA test before sending him here. Besides, the grandfather says that he looks a lot like he did when he was just a kid. Dayun is curious as to why Yuna is so infatuated with Ijin all of a sudden. She tries to make up an excuse, suddenly asking if Ijin has a girlfriend. It cuts back to Sukju's confrontation, implying that Ijin's documents are fake, saying that his investigation showed that the school he previously attended said that nobody of his likeness ever attended. Ijin asks him for evidence, puzzling Sukju, who thinks that he found this out through word of mouth, and that he doesn't have any physical evidence, but is also surprised at Ijin's expression, making it seem like he was the one making a mistake. Ijin asks why he decided to investigate him, Sukju saying he was too suspicious to not investigate. Silence falls, but Ijin shortly breaks it, saying that his objective was to come back home. Sukju still has suspicions, and will surely try to find any dirt he can on Ijin. Inside the class, Ijin notes how much they found out after only one day. Class ends, and Lee invites them all to play at the PC cafe. Ijin says that he can't, as it's his grandfather's birthday today. Ju says that just the three of them will go, letting us that they are quite friendly with Youngchan now. Sukju tells Yuna all he knows, saying that Dayun was also bullied by Haijin for the last 2 years, thinking it was Ijin who took down Kim's gang, twice. Yuna finds this funny, saying it's almost like a fairy tale that he came back to rescue his sister after so much time. Meanwhile, her siblings are just waiting for the opportunity to take her down, smiling a sad smile while speaking. Yuna says that if he really is coming after her, he should have been more quiet, Sukju agreeing. She asks about the insurance money the grandpa received after the crash, apparently being quite a large sum, growing even more so because he didn't touch it. However, he instantly gave it all to Ijin when he arrived, implying that Ijin's goal was the money. Yuna thinks Dayun might be in danger, as they live in the same house. While shopping, Dayun shyly asks Ijin what he did after the plane crash, his expression instantly turning grim. Dayun notices this, saying he doesn't need to answer. He lies, saying that because of the psychological trauma, he couldn't function that well. After all, he had to survive in a place where he couldn't understand the language. He smiles, saying it was just a busy life. She also tells him that Yuna, apparently a good friend of Dayun's, asked if he has a girlfriend, shocking Ijin a bit. When their grandfather arrives home, they celebrate his birthday, Dayun buying him a gift, a phone case. His voice breaks a bit, saying that he already got a really big present, the fact that Ijin came home. Dayun's phone suddenly rings, and the caller is Yuna, setting Ijin on alert. She says that Yuna invited her to the convenience store, apparently having to tell Dayun something. Ijin is now on full alert, knowing what might happen next. They talk outside of the convenience store, mostly about Yuna's school activities outside of the country. Yuna asks if she ever wanted to study abroad, but Dayun says no. She wouldn't want to leave her grandpa alone after all. But she is a little less worried now that her brother is back home. Yuna is conflicted, thinking about what Sukju said earlier, that all the documents and history of Ijin were all forged or faked, her wanting to tell Dayun everything. Dayun is glad that she was able to talk with someone like this, noting it has been a long time since she did something like this. Ijin spots them talking, trying to approach them slowly. He gets stopped by Sukju, however, who asks him to wait here. He says there is no need to bother two people who are catching up, but that's when a van suddenly hits them, sending both flying. Ijin rises his head and sees that Yuna and his sister have been kidnapped, instantly rising from the ground and running as fast as he can. He cannot catch up, however, as the van disappears into the distance. Sukju and Ijin immediately grab each other by their clothes, Ijin asking who the perpetrators are. Sukju is puzzled, thinking at first that Ijin was somehow involved. They let go, and Sukju calls someone, telling them the details of the kidnapping. Ijin tries to leave but gets stopped, Sukju asking if he is involved in this. Ijin says he has no time to waste, exclaiming he will find his sister. Inside a building, the chief relaxes after a long day, but his relaxation gets cut short, as Ijin appears in front of him. Inside of a tall building, a woman who looks quite similar to Yuna receives the news that she's been kidnapped. She wonders if her grandfather should continue to go after that company, because if he does without bowing to threats, Yuna is surely going to die. The chief looks at Ijin, Sukju taken aback by his appearance. He apparently knows about him already, his name being Cha Dusik, a respectable figure in the underworld. He asks Ijin what he wants, Ijin saying he needs information, and that the granddaughter of the SW Group CEO got kidnapped. His eyes widen, and he immediately says it was not them. You'd have to be insane to mess with such powerful people. Ijin asks if he would have any idea who could have done such a thing. Dusik says that he already got him into so much trouble. Why would he tell him? Ijin says that his sister got kidnapped as well. After hearing this, Dusik finally caves in, saying that he heard reports of people who aren't Korean asking his men for a warehouse, also asking for a large sum of cars, and even some men of his. He declined, saying that kind of work gets pretty iffy. He also heard that a different group took them up on the offer, and that they are based in Incheon. He throws his phone at Ijin, saying to put his number in there, saying that he will call him if his men find the exact location. Ijin also asks for his motorcycle, which was just outside the premises. He gets on the bike, Sukju asking how he could be going after unconfirmed information. Ijin says that Yuna will probably be safe, but the same can't be said for his sister. Who knows what they will do with her? Sukju notes his quick response and his swiftness in getting information. Ijin revs up the bike, dashing on the road, hoping to find Dayun safe. Dayun groggily wakes up, realizing they have been kidnapped, and Yuna apologizes for making her a part of it. The kidnappers approach, and Yuna asks what they want to do with her. One of them says that she doesn't need to know, and that it will all be over soon. Another asks what they should do with Dayun, the other saying to get rid of her, as she serves no purpose. Yuna is furious at this notion, saying that if they touch Dayun, she will bite her tongue and end herself. One of them crouches to her level, saying that she doesn't have the will to do it, encouraging her. He is proven wrong, however, as blood comes from Yuna's mouth from biting her tongue. He gives up, saying she bought some time with that bluff. Ijin and Sukju arrive at the warehouse, seeming like the information Dusik gave was true. Ijin begins to walk towards it, but Sukju tries to stop him, saying there will be reinforcements soon. Ijin doesn't have time to spare, however, as Dayun is in much more danger than Yuna. They make short work of a few guards, taking them out silently. Sukju notes how used Ijin is to this kind of thing, asking once again who he is. Ijin replies, saying that he is just his classmate. With a fiery red in his eyes, he seems determined to rescue his sister. The SW CEO sits inside his office, and a subordinate of his says they have received the demands from the kidnappers. They want him to cancel the recently settled business venture, also saying that if he doesn't respond in an hour, Yuna dies. The CEO asks when the escort team will arrive at Yuna's location, the subordinate saying in approximately 50 minutes. He shakes a bit after hearing this. Outside the warehouse, two guards wonder why they were made to do this many patrols. They speak, but suddenly, Ijin hits the nape of a guard, knocking him on his face. He tries to get up quickly, but Ijin has already taken care of his colleague, also knocking him out with a swift kick. Ijin asks Sukju how many he took down, apparently the number being 5. Ijin notes how many they took down, saying that if they combined their numbers, they would get a total of 14 guards. Sukju taken aback by Ijin taking down 9 guards. He asks Sukju about the identity of these kidnappers, but he doesn't know a thing, as they have many enemies. Ijin notes that the real group is with Yuna, saying that these other guys are really useless. He asks Sukju about his wound, his arm being badly hurt from the car hitting them earlier. Ijin's leg also being quite hurt from this. They don't have time to rest, however, as another group of guards notes the missing people. One spots the knocked out group, but it's too late, as Ijin jumps in for a knee hit, knocking the guy out. The other guy is also shortly dispatched by Ijin, with only a few jabs. Sukju calls for Ijin, saying that after this is over, he will properly apologize for investigating him. Hearing the commotion that was happening outside, the leader of the kidnappers sends some of them out to investigate, unfortunately finding Ijin. They think they should make short work of him, Ijin glaring at them, assessing their abilities. Sukju gets inside, approaching Yuna, who asks how many of her people are outside. Sukju says that none have arrived yet, but doesn't get to finish, as the leader and another person approach from behind, saying he was a real pain since he was always with Yuna. The leader says it was a mistake to come here alone, and the other guy rushed Sukju. They trade blows, him noticing that Ijin was right. These people are way different than the ones outside. Sukju lands a gut punch and a kick, giving him the chance to grab the guy's arm, hitting him in the back with his knee. The leader notes Sukju's abilities, being quite impressed. This is not a friendly spar, however, as the guy Sukju was fighting pulls out a knife, slashing him in 3 different spots. The leader orders his subordinate to finish this quickly, as they need to move locations before the escort team comes. Sukju tries to fight him, but to no avail, as the cuts he received were quite deep, nerfing his abilities. The leader, with a red tinge in his eyes, throws a knife at Dayun, trying to end her. Yuna jumps in front of her, but Sukju jumps in front of Yuna, taking the knife in his lower back. The leader applauds Sukju's stupidity and orders the subordinate to end both Sukju and Dayun. A door slowly opens, however, as Ijin has taken care of all of the goons outside, now more determined than ever to end this. Inside Dusik's building, a subordinate of his asks why he helped Ijin, given that most of the troubles they have now is because of him, and that the Goseong faction is involved, most likely being the kidnappers. Dusik replies that his sister got kidnapped. What can you do? He had to at least help with this. Inside the warehouse, the leader asks who that guy is, finding out it's Dayun's brother, laughing at the thought of him coming to rescue his sister. Ijin asks Dayun if she is hurt anywhere, but she doesn't hear it, as she is screaming at him to get out, as this is much too dangerous. Yuna laments that 2 innocent people got dragged into this because of her. The leader, having had enough of this, already being behind schedule, orders his subordinate to end Ijin first. He tries to attack Ijin, but he redirects the attack directly into the attacker's arm. While holding the knife in the attacker's arm, he gently tells Dayun to close her eyes. She does so, and Ijin lacerates the arm of the attacker, leaving him on the ground, rolling in pain. Sukju notes his knife skills, saying he targeted specific muscles and ligaments to take him down. The leader says that he is not from the escort team, noting his skill and his expression. He pulls out a knife, much larger than Ijin's. He slashes at Ijin, but he dodges instantly, making them trade blows. Ijin stops his attack with a palm attack, causing the leader to back out for a second. They begin fighting once again, with Ijin slashing most of his arm in a second, making the leader wonder if Ijin is better at using the knife. Ijin slashes his arm once again, kicking him in the face also, causing the mask he was wearing to fall off. Angry at Ijin for beating him, he pulls out a handgun, prepared to shoot Ijin. He doesn't get to, however, as Ijin throws the knife into his upper body and swiftly moves to incapacitate him, doing so with one hard palm attack. Yuna and Sukju look at him, sitting still in fear of him. He says to Dayun that she can open her eyes now, gently smiling at her, saying he came to rescue her. Dayun gently caresses Ijin's head, asking if he is hurt. Ijin is taken aback by this, replying that he is fine. She breaks down crying, worrying Ijin quite a bit. Behind them, Yuna looks at Ijin longingly. Thank you for watching. See you next time.